the tradition like no other, the Masters. The 90th edition of the Masters. Welcome to episode 201 of Broad Street Hustle. And you heard it is our Masters show. Enjoy this show every year as we've been doing our third edition of the Masters, I think. Maybe fourth, I'm not sure. But it's always a fun show. We always have a special guest, and nothing different this year as we do have a special guest, as you can see on screen. But let's go around. Who do we have? As always, co-host Jason Santa.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, what's going on? And we got Jimmy the Chalk from a remote location. I won't disclose. If he wants to, he can. But we got Jimmy the Chalk.
Undisclosed location, but on assignment this week.
And as I alluded to, we do have our special guest, the one, the only Kevin Krieger. Kevin, welcome.
Happy Masters Week, gents. Best week of the year.
Yeah, always the azaleas will be flowing soon, as come Thursday, which is the lemonade. It's lemonade, grenadine, and vodka, I believe, is the azalea. So like I said, it is the 90th edition of the Masters. Not many changes from last year. I mean, the course kind of stays the same. The players kind of evolve. We will not see Tiger Woods. We're not going to get into that, reasons why. He will not be attending this year's Masters. But it's always a fun show. And as always, it is brought to you by Giovannina's Pizza. You tried the rest. Now go ahead and try the best. All right, let's jump right into it. We've done this now. What do we say? Third year, I guess, the third or fourth year we've done it. So for our repeat listeners, and we're on YouTube, you probably have heard this before, but you might need a refresh. We're going to go through kind of the course, some holes, some trends, some things that look for when you're handicapping the Masters. And then we'll go through our, our picks, our top picks, and maybe top 10, top 20. And we will build our make the cut bet live on the air. We didn't do it for the players, but we will do it for the Masters to kick off all the majors. And I will turn to Jason to kind of go through some of the course stuff first before we get into the nitty gritty of the show.
Before I start that, the one thing I'd like to say is, obviously we all like Tiger Woods, but the one good thing about him not being in the tournament is we don't have to watch every shot that he takes, even though he's like 20 shots off the lead, and, we still have to watch every shot he takes. But anyway.
No, they'll just do that with Rory this year. That's what they just replace,
no fills.
Yeah, true. All right, so Augusta National, it's 7,555 yards to par 72. Fairways are wide. They may be the widest on the tour, but they're very wide. The rough is not too bad. It's ryegrass. I believe it's 1.5 inches. So rough should not be a problem. The greens are bent grass. The weather looks perfect, except Thursday's probably the windiest day. Not too bad, but still it's going to be the windiest day. So it may come into play, with our first round leader bets, but you can't complain about the weather. It should be almost perfect. There are 4 par 5s on the course. They are the 2nd, 8th, 13th, and 15th holes, with the 2nd being the easiest hole. The 11th hole is the white dogwood. That's probably the hardest hole on the course.
That's the longest of the 4, right?
Yeah. Yep. Amen Corner is 11, 12, and 13. There are 91 players in the tournament this year, 22 debutantes and 6 amateurs, and the top 50 make the cut. One thing I will add is Prime on Thursday, Friday. Prime starts televising at 1:00. So from 1 to 3. Yep, from 1 to 3. Now only Thursday, Friday. It's Prime 1 to 3, and then I guess it's ESPN takes over after that.
But the whole weekend there's like additional coverage that they haven't had in the years past.
Now I don't have it. I think it's Paramount on Saturday and Sunday, which
Peacock, I think. Or no, not Peacock. I think Paramount Plus, you're right.
Paramount Plus, which I don't have. I don't know if you guys have it, but I do have
If
Prime.
I steal it from somebody. Chalky, do I steal it from you? I'm right.
Yeah. Run along.
No, I think you have Peacock for me.
Okay.
Peacock here. So that's it. That's the course history. I could go over trends if you guys want, or if somebody else wants to take over. And
Yeah. Anybody else got some specific things on the course itself, or holes, or anything around that chalky? Kevin, I'll leave it up.
Just one note that I've seen people mention. So, Jason mentioned the weather. It's been a very, very dry spring there. So they said it's like a once in a decade perfect condition for the course, which could play against one of the favorites, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. No, it should
I
be.
mean, I don't mean the greens are going to be tough to hold anything.
Yeah, yeah. Crispy, get that purple sheen. What's crazy too about Augusta, Jason, kind of what you're saying, immaculate conditions. I mean, the fairway's probably short of the most greens that we play on. But one thing unique about Augusta is you rarely ever see anybody putting off the green, even though, like I said, the fairway is, a fraction of an inch. But what they think really the last 10 years, they've really leaned into it, is mowing the fairways away from the green. And I think they do also overseed, or it's underseeded with Bermuda as well. So that's why, hitting those tight lies, and those lightning fast greens, some shaky hands.
Yeah. The one thing with Augusta, when you watch it on TV, it's definitely different than when you watch other, like you said, the vibrance of like the green, and then you mix in like the flowers. Each hole has like a specific flower, and it's like the aesthetics around the Masters is different than all the courses you watch. Like, it's noticeably different.
One thing I also heard, and I don't know, Kevin, have you ever been there?
I've not yet.
I heard it's a bitch even to like be a spectator there, because the hills are like, it's insane to walk around there. Like it's tough.
Yeah, it's a lot of the vendors too. From what I've heard, so it's like a lot of those, like you're in tents, you're in grandstand, like things, not as much as the kind of your old school walking courses as spectators go, So
yeah,
but the prices are still cheap. That's what they're famous for.
So they got a new item, or two actually. That's the new things. One off the menu. They're debuting their chocolate bar for the first time this year, which I think you can get for $1. It's like a hazelnut, whatever chocolate bar, and then they have a barbecue cup. Right, if you want to go low carb, basically it's their barbecue sandwich in a cup.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
probably like $3, right?
I don't even think it's
the beer's $6 and the sandwiches are like $1.75, or hot dogs.
That's awesome.
But I did
Apparently, I was reading like the pimento sandwich is like 2 slices of white bread and a slice of cheese.
I don't
like you're not getting gourmet, but still, the barbecue sandwich is like $3 or whatever.
What were you guys paying at Oakmont?
Oh, like you're paying like Citizens Bank Park.
It was pretty good if I remember right. Right? Wasn't the sandwich good?
Yeah, I would say
the food was excellent.
Outrageous, but like about what you would, like 20. I think it was less than $20 for like the sandwich or whatever.
But it was good. The food was very good.
Yeah, good quality. Yeah, it was good.
But I did see that they're going to have signs. People walk around. There's no alcohol sales after 5 p.m., which I think is new.
And I thought I heard they only have beer and wine. I don't think they actually do. They actually have other than beer and wine?
Well, they sell the azaleas, I think, which is
maybe
like an extra.
Yeah, I have to look for that. I thought I saw they have a spritzer or something.
Okay, and I saw too they have Masters themed candy, Kev, as an item.
I think that was the chocolate.
That's what Kevin
that's the chocolate bar. That's what that chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have a new performance training center that's was being built last year.
The fans or the players?
I don't know. It just says I read a new performance training center, so maybe for the players. So I guess last year there was like quite a bit of construction going on, so I think it's completed now. And there were some of the things that I read that they added. Obviously, it doesn't do nothing for watching.
It is crazy. If you ever do a time lapse of Google Earth over Augusta, it's wild. Because they don't announce most of the changes that they make, but just the land that they've bought I mean, I think around the 11th to the 13th, they bought land and literally moved a road 100 feet away, like a public road, just to fit in more space.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
Didn't they lose one of their main trees a year or two ago with like there was a bad storm? And
Yeah, we
Does it help?
talked about that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Came down. That's when it came down like the second round or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was like 2 years
It's-
ago. The rain. It was like a monsoon.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, that's the video where it almost hit the person, or like the person jumped out of the way. But then they moved it back, right? Then they plant a tree and then move it back.
And they, I don't think the same one, but they can move, whatever they want, bring it to a drizzle, right?
well, I remember. I know what you guys are talking about. I think somebody almost got struck by lightning, or did get struck by lightning during the round. But what I was talking about was in the off season, there was some massive storm that hit down there, and it like devastated that area. And I remember even texting my buddy Chris and being like, "Geez, I'm worried about the Masters." He was like, "They'll have the Masters, like they'll have the course ready for the Masters." Like it's
Yeah.
but it was pretty bad. Like and it took out that main tree. So
All right. So, Jake, did you want to get into some of the things you look for, some of the trends I know you mentioned?
yeah. So I have some trends. So obviously ranked in the top 30. Listen, this is a tournament where you're not getting somebody who's going to jump out of the blue and win this tournament. You're getting the elite are winning the Masters. I mean, it's maybe a Danny Willett wins once every 50 years, but
Zach
for the most
Johnson.
part. And Zach Johnson. Oh, he plays well here. He played well last year, but yeah, so guys like that. But for the most part, the elite's winning. Has a top 25 in the prior Masters. Younger than 40. Has a start in the major. So, like I said, somebody's not jumping out of the blue. Made cut in the prior year Masters. I think the last winner who didn't was Patrick Reed in 2018. So there's a couple of guys this year, one in particular that we could get into that did not make the cut last year, who could be one of the favorites this year, but is not a defending champ. I believe Tiger was the last defending champ to win. It has a top 6 finish in the majors in the last 2 years. And then one last one is normally you need to be in the top 10 after the first round. And before last year, Tiger Woods was the last winner who was not in the top 10 after the first round. But if you guys remember, McIlroy was like 26th, I believe, after the first round last year. And he won. So that trend.
Last year.
Yeah. So that
But
trend.
didn't he have a round that he was like 6 under? So he had like a round that completely was unbelievable. That put him.
It
back
was,
in.
but
like
I mean, normally like you don't.
Yeah,
make
that's
the
what I mean.
cut.
Unless you have an insane outlier round, then you're probably
Yeah.
in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So those are the trends. I mean, once we get into my picks, I could give you what I use to handicap, but I don't know if you guys had any trends to add in or.
Yeah, anything you guys have had looked at differently, or something stuck out, or you read, around what you want to look for at the Masters?
I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there, so you can find it. I mean, the one that the one main one that Jason mentioned was 27. The last 28 have made the cut the year before, and as I said, there's one prominent one that I'm not including because of that this year. But yeah, there's the form holds. You don't. If you get a price in this from a betting perspective, it's somebody that has experience and maybe is off form, but you're not going to get somebody out of the clouds for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little careful. Some of that like made the cut last year. They could also be I mean, there's some fluff to that stat, in my opinion. I mean, that one particularly. If it's like a top golfer, I don't know if I would be quick to completely eliminate. And I don't know who you guys are talking about, but I wouldn't be too quick to just eliminate for that reason.
I saw one crazy trend that wasn't mentioned. But coming in, 11 straight winners have not taken off more than 1 week prior to the Masters, and 18 out of the last 20 have not taken off more than 1 week prior. So guys, I mean, a couple guys I saw that trend after I made my picks.
So
do
like
not fit.
in the calendar year, you mean?
No, a couple leading up to the
Leading-
Masters.
leading up to the tournament.
For a lot of these big name guys took like a month off or a couple weeks off, and like with the
Patrick
schedule
Reed was one.
Oh, you're
Or-
saying consecutively? Consecutively?
coming
or-
into Masters week, they didn't take off. Like they didn't play the week before, but they played at least within 2 weeks of.
Yeah, all
the-
right, yeah, gotcha.
But 18 on us, 20, 11 straight.
Yeah, I mean that I could see. I mean, you're coming in like off a layoff, pretty much. We talk about it on Horse
Yeah,
Trade. all the time.
and like you have, I mean, two of the big names have drastically different situations, in that you have Scotty, who had a kid, took off. And then you have Morikawa, who it's a health reason. So you can look at
Yeah.
it two different ways. But I did see that, and I thought that was pretty interesting as well, because people aren't sitting out prepping up for the Masters; they're playing.
Yeah,
they're
you're playing in the shape. You're playing in the
Yeah.
form. Yeah, I mean, I do think some of the trends, and although they've held so far, and we're a few years into it, but with Live too, it does buck a little bit of these trends because they're playing in tournaments that aren't the PGA tournaments or this or that, and the world ranking, gets kind of skewed. So that also could affect it as well. I know since Live has come, I guess we haven't seen it, but
That's what I'm
possible.
saying. Has anyone from Live won the Masters? I don't think-
Oh, was Rom living?
Ron was still in the PGA at the time.
Still in the
Yeah, I
PGA.
know that. It was like so.
Nobody won the Masters. Kepka won the PGA, I think, right? Or Kepka won
Right.
after Live, but he's the only one to win a major.
Yeah, but like the
Yeah.
Shambo was in the
Won.
lead and
US.
last
Oh,
year.
the
in
Shambo,
in
what's
final
Shambo won the
round,
US too? Yeah, that's right.
So it's not. Again, our sample size of that is kind of tiny to throw out like absolutes, in my opinion. But all right, anything else before we jump into making some picks? And I think anything else around the course or things to look for, or for the viewers to watch for? Or
So I mean, I could, before I get into my picks, I could give what I use the handicap. I don't know if and you guys could add in, whatever you're thinking, but driving distance more than accuracy. I think, just because we had mentioned that the rough is not crazy bad. So now driving distance matters. It's a long course. So look for big hitters. That's
yeah,
one thing
the one caveat with that is the rough's not bad, but there's also a lot of trees and pine straws where if you're you could miss the fairway and be just in the first or second cut right off the first. But if you're like beyond that, you're now not you're laying up. You know what I mean? So if you don't really have a clear look at the greens, that's where the accuracy comes into play.
need to leave the ball in a place like you need
Yeah.
to miss a good spot.
Correct. Yeah, like you can't be way off course, right?
Yeah. So that leads to my second one was like it's the second shot course. So you need to leave your shot, whether it be in the rough or, on the fairway, somewhere where you have a nice second shot.
Yep.
Course experience, which I mentioned before, course form, strokes gained around the green. Like I was looking for that. You really don't have to be a great putter to win the Masters, because the greens are so crazy. Like, a
lot of it, and that's really hard to predict, isn't necessarily like distance to the hole. It's where they leave the ball on the green. So if you're
Yeah.
leaving the ball above the hole and you're on a crazy downslope, like you're not making a birdie on that. You know what I mean? So like there are the parts where if you leave it under the hole or depending on what the undulation is, that's where
Yeah.
you really take advantage of not necessarily having to putt great.
Yeah.
Is where the ball is going to be, where your hits are on your approach to the green.
And that was the last thing I was approach, basically, strokes gained approach, greens in regulation type thing. So that's kind of what I use.
Yeah. I mean, and to that too, what's crazy about Augusta in particular, like you look on TV, I mean, the greens are massive. I mean, I'd say some of the largest on tour, but there's only so many pinnable places on each green. So, that's the thing. There's like tiny greens in the green and maybe 3 or 4 quadrants. So as far as shots gained approach, if you hit it in the correct quadrant, a lot of times it'll funnel towards the hole. And the thing is too, a lot of these guys, makes it unique from other tournaments, grew up watching the Masters, kind of I'm not saying they're getting reads from putts by watching TV, but you know the trends, like that uphill cut on 18 wants to break, dive at the last second.
Yeah.
Always putt to raise creep, but
I mean, then that all goes into, and it makes sense why these like debut golfers don't win the
Right.
Masters, because you don't have the experience. You don't have the golf management part of the course down. Like you're aggressive, you're going at
you
pins,
can't go.
and sometimes it's not the right play.
It's more important to know where to miss than where
Mhm.
to hit. I guess though.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think Rory. Was it Rory? I think Rory might have talked about that last year, where his approach to the course is different than it was. And like you said, like sometimes you can't be aggressive. You got to play the conservative, because if you miss, at least you miss in a spot where you still have the ability to,
And up and
maybe
down.
birdie or par at worst, and you take bogey out of the equation. So, yeah, it's a huge part of it. All right, I guess, Chalky, did you have anything on that, or you want to ready to jump into it?
Let's give out the winner.
All right, Jason, we'll default to you as always. Give out. We kind of go through who you don't have to give one guy, but don't go through the whole list. But who do you have winning the Masters tournament this year?
Okay, so I have 6 to win. I'm not going to give them all at once. I'll give my top guy. Let's everybody give their top guys, and then we could come back around. My top guy is going to be Xander. I think he's good value where he is. I believe I got him at 18-1 on DraftKings was the best value I saw on Xander. Guy's got great course form. Plays well at the Masters every year. He's in good form this year. He was kind of hurt last year, so his game was off last year. Since then, he's, been right around the top 10 in almost every tournament he's been in this year. His game fits here. He's a big hitter. He's really just a well-rounded golfer. And I just thought value-wise, you hear a lot of winners being given out, and I haven't heard his name that much. And I just think he fits as far as value. And I'm okay saying he's my top pick.
I think he's
All right.
5 top 10s in the Masters as well.
At the Masters, yeah. So here's a guy who clearly knows how to play this course.
Yeah, and like you said, his injury, he could take him away from some of the bucking some of the trends if he fits in the one that he didn't do last year. Like he has circumstances of why he didn't maybe fit into that.
And I believe he played. I mean, last year, he still finished top 10 last year.
Yeah,
Even with all that. So.
Chalky.
So I can't say this is going to be value. Now Xander's somebody it's all over. Depending on where you look, where I happen to be, he's 13-1. So 18-1. DraftKings is great for that. This guy is pretty consistent across. But I'm picking Rahm. We do a golf pool. We pick a player each week. Rahm's going to be my pick this week. Of the top guys, I think I like him better than Scotty. I like him better than Bryce, and certainly like him better than Rory, who I'm very much against. I'd like a little better than 9-1 roughly you're getting, but he's going to be my top pick.
Yeah, definitely not value. Second choice. Jeff?
Well, third, depending on where you're looking, like right now, where I'm at, he's third, but he's second on DraftKings. So, but he's in that 9-1 range. No matter
Jason,
where
who
you are.
do we use for this podcast for our what sports book
I'm
is the
just saying.
official sports book of this podcast?
Well, we use DraftKings, but for this, I like to look around. I check 4 different ones, so I like to give out my best value that I found. So,
but we use DraftKings.
usually DraftKings. Yeah.
We use DraftKings. Kev?
I mean, I like Rahm is my top or my shortest odds pick. So I definitely love Rahm coming in, even though both my top 2 guys have bucked that trend of taking off more than 1 week coming into the Masters. But I mean, Rahm is on a live tear, take it for what it's worth, but he's got 4 top 2 finishes. I think 1, maybe 2 wins. Has 5 top 10s and 9 appearances at the Masters. So, and 1 in 23. But Another guy I really like coming into this Masters, which is crazy. I had to look. I didn't realize he's ranked number 3 in the world. I guess winning at Players will help that. But Cam Young, I think, I mean, is in some of the best form that he's played in his career. He's always kind of been that guy who's been sniffing around big tournaments. Also won a British Open. I mean, broke through the Players this year. He's kind of hit or miss with the Masters. He's got 2 top 10s, 2 missed cuts in 4
So
appearances.
he was the guy. He was the guy who did.
Yep.
Missed the cut.
And he's taking a month off. So yeah, Cam Young. So that's another, one thing I don't necessarily like, but one of the longest hitters, best drivers in the game. I think he's got that bulldog mentality, makes big putts when he needs to. Good iron game. I mean, not elite, but I think a guy coming in great form, some success here. And actually, I mean, what was surprising, straight up on DK, you can get him to win plus 2,300. But I think I like, you can go Cam in without Scotty, Rory DeChambeau, or Rahm at plus 1,600.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
That's great because he's 16-1 outright where I'm at. So that if you can get that without those 4, that's tremendous.
Yeah, basically a T5.
Yeah. So I mean, Ron was the guy that I have on my short list. Of course, I had Alberg on my short list, but I ultimately went with Cam Young as well for my top pick. You want to say missed the cut last year, but he's notoriously a guy that couldn't close and finally closed at the Players. So we talk about in horse racing a lot. You get that light bulb angle. You finally cross the finish line, and it's something just clicks. It's you get off that, you're standing over a putt, you're thinking about it. You're standing over a second shot, you're thinking about it. Now you got the Players under your belt. You know what it's like to kind of close. And he's coming into this tournament. So he's 3rd in shots gained off tee in the last 4 years. He can play long enough for the par 5s. 23, he did miss the cut, but 23 he was T7. 24 he was T9. So he's got 2 in the top 10 in the last 3 years. His shots gained, top 20 in approach and off the tee. And he's he fits the world ranking. So yeah, outside of just the miss the cut guy, and I got to agree with everything Kevin said. So Cam Young was ultimately the guy I went with as well for my one winner of this tournament. If I had to pick one winner. Now nobody.
Look what he.
Good.
I'll say look at the Ryder Cup. I mean, he was the lone American that really showed up. Big time moments. Like he's not afraid of the spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, these guys get older. They get better at some. I mean, there's things that they struggled as younger, and I mean, his game was always there. He just had that choke in him, and he came through. I mean, he missed the putt on 18 in the Players. It wasn't the easiest putt, but he had a 357-yard drive into the center
fairway
and a very good approach shot. It was a tough putt, and he won because Fitzpatrick choked too, but he closed it out. I mean, he finally won. So. Nobody picked Scotty. Is that? Do we just think off his game?
We're not done yet. We're not done making picks yet.
Well, I mean, as your top,
not as your top pick.
I mean, everybody thinks he can win. He's the 4-1 favorite, obviously, but nobody's picking him as like a top pick.
No,
and we can get into it, but is that just because the way he's playing, or are we just trying to fade the 4-1? Like, what's the reasonings behind that?
It's not like that. His approach game has not been good. That was my only, reservation. I did bet him to win.
Look, he's a guy, and it's easy to say it now because he hasn't won, he's not playing as well. But like, you watch his swing, you watch his footwork, he's all over the place. Like, if something starts to go wrong, and right now it looks like something's going, whether it's he's got like a neck injury or he's just, he can't afford to not have everything go his way because his swing isn't like the prettiest swing right on course. You watch, there's a lot of mechanical things he does that is kind of goofy. So he could just be in like a weird, I mean, he's like, what do we say? The one tour, he's like 75th in shots gained approach, which is,
I think he's 90th, something like that.
Yeah,
something
it's like insane.
And the other thing I didn't like was like he's got this tendency lately of not, having a bad first round. as I mentioned before, for the most part, you cannot have a bad first round and come back to win the Masters unless you're Tiger Woods. I mean, obviously last year McIlroy did it, but I wouldn't count on it.
No, I mean, you just have a second kid too. I feel like his head's not all in it. He's like a big family guy. Like, take them on. I just don't think he has the killer instinct. And in that interview that I think it was last year, where he basically was saying that, winning isn't everything. And it was kind of a defeat. It was a weird answer to the one question. I just think that, he's a better, but not a dog, at least right now, like I'll tease other guys.
It's why Tony Finau can't win. He loves his family too much.
His 11 kids and
He loves his family too much. He doesn't have. Why did Rory win? Divorced his wife, hated his family.
look at Tiger in his prime.
And he's super focused. Kobe
Jeez.
ruined his marriage. That's what those guys need.
Won championships.
You gotta be.
Well, in Rory's defense, he did reconcile before winning the Masters. So
I thought he didn't get divorced.
no,
They were,
he
and they
filed,
still were going
he
to sue
reconciled.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what-
So they were
we-
back together
were-
last year.
Yeah.
she came to her senses. I mean, he wanted,
I don't think it was her asking for the divorce, but
All right, Jason. Who else do you have now on this list of your?
my second choice was
You got to scroll. You need a scroll to give us the rest of them, or
I have 6 guys in total. So my
This is a
second
part-episode.
choice. What's that?
two-part episode. We'll
Ah.
players.
I mean, listen, it's the Masters. It comes once a year. I want to be live. Second choice was Scheffler. I got 625 on Bet365. So you're gonna give me 6-1 on Scheffler at the Masters? I'm betting it. Rahm, obviously my third choice. Not that he's my third choice, but obviously he's my. I think he can win. I got 10 plus 1050 on him at Bet365. I had to bet Bryson. I'm sorry. I mean, again, I think an elite golfer's winning this tournament. I took Bryson. I got plus 1,200 on FanDuel on him. And then 2 longer shots. Patrick Reed, he's tearing up the DP Tour. He hasn't played in a month, but he's playing really well. He's going to be back on the PGA Tour soon. He just has unbelievable course history at this place. I got 44-1 on him at DraftKings. And then my bomb, again, he's not winning, but he's a lefty. His shots fit here. Akshay Bhatia, 70-1 on FanDuel. Just a shot.
yeah, he's playing good golf too. I mean, they're
Playing good golf.
And just a disclaimer: I don't want to get anything thrown at me by Jason, but the Flyers are up 2-1 at the end of the first. Just want to throw that out there.
All right.
They're not winning anything without a center and defenseman, but their wingers
They're
are good.
good at.
The
Chalky. Where else did you have?
So, full disclosure, I'm not betting him now. I did have a parlay with Bryson that I bet last week, UConn to win the championship right of the Final Four. I'm knocked out with that. But from everything I'm reading about the conditions that we talked about earlier, it's not going to be conducive to him because of his iron play. So he'd have to be exceptionally good with the iron play. So I am not advocating a win bet. I'm only going to give you 2 other winners. Allberg, who I'm hesitant on because after that Players, I'm like, can he close? Like, he's finished second or third here, but he wasn't playing for the win at that point. So if he were to collapse again, he might fall in the category of you got to win before you show me again. But then my other one is the guy that won that tournament, Fleetwood. I'm sorry. No, Fitzpatrick. Fleetwood did not win that tournament. Fitzpatrick did, right? So, Fitzpatrick, who he fits a lot of the trends that people talk about. And so, at a little bit of, I think DraftKings has him at 23 right now, 2250 to 1. So nothing longer than that. Just on the history is those guys usually don't win, so nothing fun. But those are my 3.
Yeah, and I always refer to and your YouTube viewers, you're not going to be able, you won't see this because Chalky's doesn't have a video up, but I always call him Fitzpatrick the uglier Chalky. Take that as a compliment. Take it as a compliment.
And that's not easy to do. So
They have the same complexion.
Oh my God. Too bad you can't play anywhere it's sunny. Kev,
No,
who else did
like
you have
this.
on your list?
We actually have a lot of overlap. I mean, said Rom before, Cam Young.
I mean,
P. Reed was another longer shot, even though again took off. But as Jason said, I mean, his course history, the last 3 Masters, T4, T12, solo third, tear up the DDR Tour, 4 top 10s in the Masters as well since winning in 18. So, I mean, 43-1, I think, of DraftKings. Sprinkle a little there. Oberg 2. I mean, again, 3 top 5s in a row, last 3 starts, 2nd and a 7th at the Masters. So you can give him 16-1. And then 2 other longer shots. One guy who I love in like the top 10, 20, 30, might just hit him up the whole ladder. Great length, great par 5 scoring, a wizard around the greens, and some of the best swag of any player on tour is Minwoo Lee. He also has 3 top 5s and a 6th place finish this year. So I like him, like I said, to win, probably not, but definitely in the top finish markets. And then
I heard a trend, Kev, the top par 5 scoring is a good, a good thing to look at for the Masters. So I do like him. I didn't bet him, but yeah.
And then one
Yeah,
last
move-
guy. What's that?
Go ahead. I'll give the stat afterwards. Go
I was
ahead.
going to say that I got for both to win as well as the top debutant. So you can get him top debutant plus 425 to win 43-1. Chris Gotterup, fellow, Rutgers alum.
I was gonna say it's such a fraud alert there, as
He's my near
they went to
JT.
the same college, so I wanted to
Like,
put
you
that
see,
disclosure.
A crazy stat, which I saw, is in the last 5 years, there's been 6 players that have multiple wins coming into the Masters. I'll read them for you. And so I read player year, they're finishing the Masters. Cam Smith in 22, T3. Scotty in 22, won the Masters. Scotty in 23, T10. Rahm in 23, won the Masters. Scotty in 24, won the Masters. Rory in 25, won the Masters. Got her up in 26. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, can't lie. So that he won those early
He
tournaments.
still has 2 wins coming to the Masters.
One stat though that to back up Lee. So 11 out of the last 13 winners had a shots gained approach, or had a shots gained above 1.7 with 3 months leading into the Masters, and the list was Mordecai, Fitzpatrick, Rahm, Kim, McIlroy, Scheffler, Alberg, Young, Minwoo Lee, and Gotterup, all on that
That's my
list.
books.
So
That's
they
good.
all fit. I'll be short and sweet. I had 2 other guys as winners, not long shots, but Alberg was one, and then Rahm was obviously the other one. And you guys kind of went in about Rahm, but Rahm's never missed a cut at the Masters, which is crazy. He's got five top 10s out of 8 Masters, which is crazy.
9.
Or 9.
If I
And the
remember
year,
correctly, and I could be wrong, didn't he struggle to make the cut and then it exploded last year?
yeah, he almost
You-
won. He was like close to the
And he
Yeah, the
almost
cut.
also missed the cut. And
yeah.
then he just went on a tear.
I think the final round is when he went on the team. He was the,
Yeah.
he was like
And
the only one
Sunday.
getting scoring when everybody else.
Yeah.
And the year he won, he was 80% with fairways in regulation, 62% greens in regulation, and he was at 1.68 putts. It's like insane. So obviously, and how he's playing at Live and all that, it's a no brainer. And then Alberg, but like Chalky said, he does have that. He's starting to get that Cam Young feel to him where he's not closing, and he needs to close out one of these. And the players, he had no excuse not to close out. But he needs to close out one of these tournaments because we kind of talk about him every week on these shows when we have the show and on the pool.
Yeah.
Alberg. So, all right, Kev, you brought it up and we got your opinion. Got her up as as your top debutante. And Jason, we kind of talked offline. We said that they don't really win or haven't won, of course, and probably won't this year. But
Fuzzy
Kev, we
Zeller
know
was
where
the
you.
lad.
I'm sorry.
1979. Rest in peace. Yeah.
Oh, so
Fuzzy
okay.
Zeller. Fuzzy Zeller, yep.
But Kev, you said got her up. Jason, Chalk, did you guys have a debut guy that you were kind of keeping an eye on?
Mine was Bridgman. I think he
yeah.
was the second choice in the debutante. I'm going to probably throw
Was
something.
got her up the favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debutants. I think Bridgman was like 650 or
Yeah.
Yep.
So got her up as one of 4 others I was going to give for top 10, the only debutante. So I would endorse that as well.
And I
All right. Yeah.
said earlier,
Yeah.
a top 20 debutante parlay. And this is T20 and ties. So got her up, Bridgman, and Casey Jarvis, which is a name you should get used to because this kid is. We'll be talking about him putting on a green jacket at some point. But you take those 3 top 20 plus ties is 30-1. So it's the little debutante parlay.
Okay. How about Jason? You any more? You have top 5s, top 10s, or any big sleepers?
So I have 3 more categories. I'll just give them this one first, and we could go around. But I've been preaching on these golf shows that if you bet a winner, you should also bet a first round leader because you're going to be pissed off if your guy's leading after the first round and doesn't win. So now, in saying that, like guys like Scheffler, Rahm, I did not bet them to win the first round because their odds are just awful. But I did bet Reed, and I got him at 41-1 on DraftKings to lead after the first round. I bet Corey Connors to lead after the first round at 59-1. Akshay Bhatia, 48-1. I got on him. Siwoo Kim, I got a 46-1. Nikolai Hogard, I got a 57-1. I did bet Shoffley because he's my top pick. So he was 29-1, still not bad. And then Sunjay M, 69-1. You're my first round leader bets. Anybody else do anything there?
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the other bets I had tied in with UConn was Justin Rose leading into the first round because he's done it 5 times, I think, which is the most of anybody that's in the tournament. So that would have been 1,000 plus coming back on a $10 bet if UConn had won, and he was didn't pan out, but he is 36-1 right now, I believe, to lead after the first.
Have anything there?
No, I mean, kind of some of what Jason said about picking first round leaders for your winner picks. I like looking at T5, T10 picks because it's kind of the same thing where you have a guy that's in the hunt, back 9 on Sunday and, finishes second, T3rd. At least you can get, a little juice with the T5. But I have one other top 10 parlay. I think all 3 of Jason's guys. But these 3 guys, so Connors, who has 4 top 10s since 2020, Xander, who has 5 top 10s, Cam Young, 2 out of his 4 Masters top 10s. That'll get you 40-1 odds.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you have any other top 5, top 10, top 20 guys we didn't cover? And then I'll go to Jason.
Not the guys that I haven't mentioned. Like I said, probably piggyback on my winners of some of those, top
some
5,
of the
top 10s.
I'll run through like however you want to top 10, top 20, whatever. Hatton was a guy I was keeping my eye on. He's not playing great in Live right now, but that was a guy. Bridgman, Jason referred to. Siwoo Kim or Woo Lee, that the other one.
Min Woo
Lee. There you go. Victor Hovland, Daniel Berger, and Penge, who's like a guy that's kind of on the upswing. He's tearing up on the deep, what's that, the other one, DP, whatever, as well. But he's a debutante, so who knows? But another one that keep an eye on for those top 10, top 20 finish. Jason?
So I'll give you 4 top 20 guys. Patrick Reed, best number I got on him was plus 140 at FanDuel. Akshay Patel, I got plus 210 on it, plus 210 on FanDuel. And it's kind of weird because in just checking the different sites, it seems like FanDuel is giving you the best top 20s, but then to make the cuts looks like DraftKings is giving you the best odds, and WinBets, Bet365 is giving you, but you really have to like shop around. 2 more guys, Hideki Matsuyama. Now this is a a minus number, but he's a guy who really likes his course. I got him at minus 105 and Bet365.
And he showed flashes this year where he was getting his act kind of back together. And then,
He could be lurking, on Sunday. And then Sanjay M, I got it looks like I got a plus 340 on FanDuel for top 20.
Okay. Chalky, anything there?
So as far as top 10, top 20 guys, 4 guys, 3 have been mentioned. So I mentioned Goddard. You mentioned Hovland, Patrick Reed. So the only name not mentioned is Bobby McIntyre for top 10, top 20.
All right. Anything else around those types before we kind of jump into our make the cut action? Any other guys to keep an eye on? Anything, any interesting parlays, Kev, that you may have? Any top guys, or before we kind of jump into?
Has anybody seen the to make a hole in one?
I think it's plus 150.
Ooh, that's it.
And what's the Jay? Do you have the over under for the?
Well, I don't have that. It's hard to find. I look for it every year, and it's just hard to find.
It's usually what's it usually around? Minus 9-ish, 10-ish.
Well,
Is it that high?
I want to say 12. I want to say 12 too. Yeah.
I'll say one of I saw this on Twitter or whatever. One of the worst bets ever. Somebody to go the whole tournament without having a bogey, which has never happened.
It's impossible.
The odds were 24-1 on that happening.
No
Which
thanks.
is one of the worst bets in history.
24-1. That's gotta be
You're like
wrong.
100 to 1.
24-1.
That can't be. That's insane.
It'd be 100 to 1.
Probably more than that.
I mean, it's never. No one has never had a bogey.
Well, it's 90 Masters.
4 rounds
so,
in the history.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I mean, figure that it's 100 to 1 is still generous. But yeah, trying to say, I think it was DraftKings had that. I want to say, 24 to 1 odds on something that has never happened in the history of Masters. 72 bogey free holes.
That's outrageous.
that is. One other interesting bet. Wire to wire winner is yes is plus 640.
That's hard too.
That's
A little better than going bogey free and winning, but
I wonder who the last wire to wire
Probably
winner
Tiger
was.
too.
You would think.
I don't know. Look it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to remember.
Didn't Spieth do it 1 year? I think the year he won, he did it. I think.
Possible.
Built
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Spieth at 15. Yeah, it's 11 years.
He either was first or second the year he won, and then he was going wire to wire the year he choked it on the.
He just had 2 years where he looked like he was going to be the next Tiger Woods.
One of his next biggest thing. Yeah, I mean, he still
kind
won a
of
major
blew up
after
the British
meltdown, but
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day with Cat. He kind of blew up the British Open that one hole, and it kind of fell off a little bit.
I mean, that that 1 year he won the Masters, won the US when it was the second one, finished third at the British and second at the PGA. I mean, that's
a Tiger Woods. That's a Tiger Woods type.
I was going to say it's the best non-Tiger season we've seen in however many years. But then the next year, he had a 5-stroke lead that he blew. That was it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and build our make the cut as we conclude here. So, as you know, we all pick a guy to make the cut. We throw what's it, $25 or whatever it is. I think is what's placed.
25 each.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay.
That was $100 bet.
And then we obviously we'll build it live. We'll use DraftKings. I don't know if somebody has it up. We'll build it.
I'll pull it up. I'll put this one in, and then we'll just, hopefully we won't. I'll just have to put them all in if we hit it. So,
all right, Jay, you got the phone. So go
I'm
ahead
trying
and
to
give
get
me
it
the
up.
cut.
Yeah, I got it. So, you want me to start it off?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Corey Connors. It's a guy who is just consistently, probably not a guy who you're gonna bet to win, but he's a guy that's just gonna play well at Augusta. So I'll have to use my glasses. I think he's minus 260. Yeah, minus 260 for Corey Connors. So that's my guy.
All right. Chalky.
Maverick McNeely.
So he's minus 265.
Kevin.
I'm going to go with the guy that I have not mentioned at all in this podcast, but hoping he can just make the cut. Ben Griffin, minus 235.
So Griffin is minus 235. Yep.
All right, and I'm gonna go with Jacob Bridgman, who we did discuss as a debutante. Clemson.
And
Clemson
Bridgman
alumni.
is minus 260.
So,
Something goofy's going on. Hold on one second.
who was your pick, Jason?
Corey Connors.
Connors.
CC.
While Jason figures that out, so the over-under total score is 274.5, which, if I'm doing the math right, comes out to 13.5 under par.
Oh wow,
So, yeah.
it's high.
So par 72, 4 rounds would be 288.
Of
Yeah,
course,
it's awesome.
DraftKings would be effed up at this point. It's like,
I ain't the odds up.
do you have you?
Yeah, it's short.
Mine's
It's
like, I don't know what's going on.
plus 276 on that. Make the cut.
Do you want to put it in? Because it keeps scrolling for me. I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, locked it in.
Well, it's only Tuesday too. I mean, you got. So you're looking at
Almost
2.7 to 1. Is what you're looking at here.
I don't know.
You're
It
getting
threw
close
me
to
up.
3 to 1. No odds.
What did it? What'd you get, Kev?
Plus 276.
276.
See if I can get an odds boost or something. But
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. You have until Wednesday night. So
I don't think they give us. I don't get an odds boost, but I mean, if you want to wait and see if you get one.
But all right. So
Down from the
regardless, you're looking at plus 276 on the 4 make to cut guys. As Jason said, how many golfers are in this tournament? 90,
So there's 91 and 50 make the cut. I do have a couple other guys
including
that I'll
ties, correct? Including ties.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Go
I'll
ahead.
just throw in a couple other guys just quickly. Patrick Reed was minus 340. No great odds, but Siwoo Kim, he has a great course history here if you guys looked. He's actually minus 370, believe it or not. Like,
to what make the cut?
to make the cut, yeah. Akshay Bhatia is minus 310. Nikolai Hogard was minus 265, and Sunjay M was minus 230. So I did my own make the cut parlays with those guys.
Sprinkling a lot on the Masters, which is the second most bet sporting event other than the Super Bowl every year. I think
Wow.
we've thrown that fact out there before, but
yeah, that is crazy.
you know,
You wouldn't think it, but
It's,
all right.
it's more
Anything
bet
else
than
to
Kentucky
wrap
Derby.
up?
I'm
it-
pretty
is it-
sure
Wow.
nationwide. Yeah.
Anything else? We'll wrap up here. Thanks to Kevin for being our special guest here.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
guys. Tom, where can we get those hats? Those Masters hats? Yeah.
Oh, these are only made at Casa de Nani. That's the
3D?
Only
Like
place.
that?
you can get
3D.
It's
It's the
3D.
only place you get them. Well, let me tell you how you can make it real quick, and then we'll sign off here. If you got yourself any type of Word document, you kind of just snip it from the internet, You cut it out. You get some double face tape, and you just plop it on.
It's hard to
Any
believe.
hat you may have laying around.
Freshly made.
It is
Look, I
not
think-
officially trademarked by the master, so hopefully,
No,
With
we
the
made
hard
it
to
201
believe that.
episodes before we got suited into oblivion by Dustin National.
but it is one of a
rock.
kind. It is a one of a kind hat. Makes its appearance once a year.
I want to say like even their store is reasonably priced, but you can only buy merchandise there for the
On
main
Yeah, but
site.
site.
then you could ship it out. They have it where you could buy it and
You
like
could ship it.
Yeah,
Send it home. Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
like a whole thing for
but
that.
it's not. The prices are not bad at the store either.
No.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. I mean, the ticket prices are not cheap if you're going to try to get them on.
No,
You
that's
know.
Not the second market.
I
But-
mean,
well,
it's not impossible in the secondary market now, but they've cracked down so much that if you don't win the lottery,
Yeah.
you are paying so much to get in.
Yeah.
they're
If
reasonable
you don't
if you win
cancel it from the
lottery.
secondary market, because
I thought they were still
they find a
fairly
ticket on the secondary
expensive.
market, they're canceling the original ticket.
I thought they were still expensive on the lottery. The lottery was still
Uh,
fairly expensive.
I thought they were reasonable. I could be wrong, but
I
definitely
mean, they're not.
secondary.
It's not cheap for a regular ticket to anything for major sporting events. Probably not too bad, but
And that's- PGA was what, $230 a ticket, right? What do we pay? $232.
Yeah. Yeah,
something like I don't even remember. But so
Yeah.
it's not like double that, but the fact that it's so hard to resell now, like if you get something on the secondary market, like it's going to cost you 4 times that.
Yeah. 4 figures.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully, gave us some good tips, good winners, and you follow along. We'll recap next week as we probably pick back up with the Phillies. Maybe a Flyers playoff push close. Maybe the Flyers make an appearance in the podcast. We'll see. But yeah, we'll definitely move forward with the Phillies. Thanks for listening. Episode 201, Broad Street Hustle. Thanks to Kevin for special guest.
It's fun, guys.